We're back! I hope you missed us last week. We had all kinds of issues, mostly medical issues, so we were missing last week and we apologize.
Wait, we were gone?
Yeah, you didn't even notice, you see? Probably nobody else noticed either. Anyway, we are back this week better than ever. Maybe. And so we've got all kinds of fun coming up in the next couple of weeks, starting tonight as we finish up some things and maybe start moving into the fun chase part of the story. We shall see what's going to go on. How has your weeks been? I know that Apo/Kyle has been family on the mend from being sick, so how's everybody doing?
Better now.
Good to know.
I'll leave it on a slightly somber note. If you're ever having to deal with a funeral, paperwork sucks.
Yeah.
It's somebody I know, and it's going through a lot, and just not me personally, but it's just the amount of paperwork is just like holy hell. There's a form for everything.
Yeah. Forms and quite
even death you can escape bureaucracy.
Yeah, it's just like the game where it's all about the bureaucracy and who you've paid off, so you never know. Well, I'm sorry to hear you had to go through that. What are the rest of you been doing?
Stuff.
My computer just decided to restart and do updates right now. So I'm currently on my phone.
Very good. I'm expecting to have something crash terribly tonight anyway, because Discord actually put everybody in the right places for my stream, so I'm expecting something to go awfully wrong. That never happens. So
Equivalent
we shall
exchange.
see.
You get something, you have to give something.
Pretty much, yep, that's pretty much.
We get a good stream layout. My computer decides to reboot itself.
Yeah. If mine reboots, then we're in trouble. So.
Oh yeah.
Anyway, when last we were here a couple of weeks ago, Varys at last managed to finish the quest that he was supposed to run for the Emerald Enclave. During this week, he has handled the turn-in of it with Melanor Fellbranch, who was somewhat snippy about how long it took him to turn in the quest, but the quest has been handled, and the rest of you headed directly for Trollskull after having handled an all-night episode at the farms. Varys, after a brief jaunt around by Emerald Enclave, eventually joins up with you, and by the time the whole group of you staggers up the steps to Trollskull, it is probably 4:30 or 5 o'clock in the morning. It is almost time for the sun to come up. You've been out all night, although you did have a rest beforehand, so you are not currently in a state of exhaustion, but it was a difficult night. So
I've got a question.
Go ahead.
The scarecrows that we battled last time themselves, Relian, after all the hullabaloo had calmed down, would actually try to examine them to figure out exactly what they were. How well would he have done that? And also, would there be anything worth taking from them of, say, a magical nature, like a core or anything like that?
No, they did not have anything on them, but give me an Arcana roll, and let's see how much you know about their things, and I've got to get our dice roll up.
Let's set the precedent for the night. Yeah!
Oh! It is something very bizarre, and about the only thing you can determine with your Nat 1 basically is that something has corrupted the land around this area. It's very odd that this corruption has suddenly come up at this time. It doesn't seem like it's a natural occurrence at all, is about all you're able to determine. I believe Varus got a little bit of information related to that too, if he wanted to elaborate on it at all. Would Varus
Yeah,
add anything?
Varus, you would have seen Varus take out a dagger. I cut some vines off of those little vine monsters that climbed out from the ground. And shortly after getting back into the city, he jogged off a different direction. Meeting, he probably would have come back to the tavern around an hour, half an hour to an hour after the rest of you arrived.
Do you wish to share anything when you come in related to what the experience was that all of you have done? Any words of wisdom or anything that you want to add to the conversation?
Are people still awake, or everyone?
I'm assuming at this point, yeah, you've all kind of staggered in and had a drink or whatever, and we were having a kind of an RP with Corporal Banders, who basically has said, you know, my first name is Alan. When the other officers aren't around, you're welcome to call me Alan. He has shared that he's not really very fond of some of his commanders. He's not in favor of them very much. And he just kind of hangs around, and if an ale is shoved into his hand, he will take his armor off and partake of it.
Yeah. So Varus would come jogging back. He would. Well, today has been interesting to say the least. Melnor, my handler at the Emerald Enclave, wasn't exactly happy how long it took to get everything settled. Regardless, it is settled. He will take out the pouch that, let's see, there's 4 or 5 other people. So he will take out the pouch, give each of you 5 gold, saying, this is in recompense for, well, a little bit extra recompense anyway, for assisting me with that tap. If you don't wish to keep it, of course,
we will accept it. Thank you.
Of course. If you don't wish to use it for personal uses, I'm sure that you could use it for the tavern or anything like that. Other than that, we're good for now. I may need to talk to you guys again about Emerald Enclave's business at some point. Apparently, there are some there's some trouble in the kelp forest, but as of right now, we're all good.
Cashin will just refuse the money and look to him. It's like, well, seeing as how we're all very tired since you said it was a very busy day, instead of saying night, I think we should all hit the hay.
Relian reaches out and takes the money Cashin refused.
No.
I don't think you get a say in that because you refused it.
And I will,
not
and I will let Nokri perhaps point out that you've got lots of overhead coming in, and you only just barely met expenses, not necessarily paying off loans the last time around, and you've had to be closed. So your expenses are building.
Either way.
I am going to be taking my 5 coin and I'm putting it back into Varus's hands and telling him, use it for yourself, for the farmers. If you have to, consider this an advancement onto getting supplies for your work. Because as any group, any city, any individual, as any group or city is well known, you are only as strongest as your weakest chain. If one of us falters, we all falter. I'd rather have you at your best.
Well, thank you, Nakri. I do appreciate that.
By the way, that last roll I asked for,
Oh,
Ruth.
yeah, on your way back. Let me get the, hold on, I need to get the sheet up so that I have that in front of me. Okay, you do your d20 roll plus either your wisdom or intelligence, whichever one you use. Okay, give me a d4 to determine how many herbs you found. Just one. And I need to find out, where do I have that? I thought I had it up on the thing. I don't. Alrighty, now I need a 2d6. You find a one section of blood grass.
All right. So with the blood grass and the other one, with all the other materials, Cashin will say that he gave all of it to Fala,
Um,
including that rare spring water, or
all right. Now, currently it's before sunrise.
that
Fala
is true.
Fala may not be up, but you will be able to do that as soon as you guys figure out what order you're doing things in. Okay, so anybody else have any loose ends here to tie before you decide whether you're just going to stay up and handle everything or go to sleep or what you're going to do?
I have a quick question in terms of the route taken. Would our return trip brought us anywhere near, potentially anywhere near the ground hunt, say within 500 feet?
No. I'll show.
Okay.
Let me pull you over to the map, and you'll see that your route in the north gate would keep you pretty well away from the Growlhund because you would come in from the west of Trollskull Alley, and the Growlhunds are over here.
Okay, and we came in from North Gate.
Yeah.
Which way did Shepard remember seeing the thing go?
It just bounced across the roofs. It may have gone kind of south. It was just kind of like trying to get out of the compound, and the
Okay.
only route for it to go was across the roofs, which led to the fence southward.
Okay. I was just debating whether or not that was doable. But if it's not, it's not. We're good.
All right, looks like Cashin, from what he typed in chat, is headed up to go to sleep. And as I mentioned, you noticed that apparently while you were gone, a small army must have been in the inn because there's been a whole bunch of work done. It looks like Tully brought in a bunch of friends. There was a hole sawed in the floor above the tower area, the garret tower, and they have managed to build a spiral staircase in that area per your instructions. They've moved a bunch of furniture around to get to that. When you go up the stairwell into it, you find yourself in coming through the doors, and there's a brand new door which is only half finished. It's kind of like you have to duck a bit. The door is only about 5 feet high, but it goes under the staircase in the second floor and comes out here on this landing. A new wall is being constructed here. It is not yet finished, but it is being constructed, and you can still get up to the third room, but basically the second floor is being little by little blocked off from the common guests that are coming through. You also find a lot more bed frames have been moved in, a few completed beds. Apparently some of the maids that had instructions to tidy up have gotten a few of the beds actually made with mattresses and so forth. So you're starting to see some improvement on the rentable portion. Also, the back stairs are at this moment in complete disarray. They are a mess. They're being torn down and rebuilt to have a platform at this stage. Instead of going directly into a door here where they used to go, the door will now be on the side, and you will go into what is currently a kind of common area, but could be a room rental area if you chose to use it as such. So you now have lots of beds that have been stored or can be used here in this room, lots of beds that have been stored here, and a couple of beds that have been moved into this one here. These rooms on this side are private. They are separated from the other zones, so anything you want to use on the left side of the map is for your private use.
I believe that was Epiphany's room. Last I checked.
Epiphany comes back in, looks around. Where are my ants?
I didn't know you had them.
You weren't supposed to know.
Oh, well, I wish you had let me know that they were supposed to be there. I honestly didn't know, and maybe they're just hiding because of all the noise.
This place is no longer safe or secure. I will find different accommodations.
Epiphany.
Quick question: Is Corporal? Is that Corporal? Is Corporal Bander still there?
He was
Or
the
did he
last we
scupper
knew. If
off?
you guys just say, yeah, you can leave, we're not going to leave the city or something, he will head off. It's a matter of what you were going to RP with him based on the fact he said, I am really tired. Can I go crash, or can I crash on the floor here? Or what do you want me to do? Just don't leave the city.
Ro would probably sling an arm over both Corporal Bander's and Varys' shoulders, and he starts escorting them both out the door and says, "Okay, so this has been fun, and by fun I mean complete nightmare. I mean talking walking scarecrows. I mean, thanks for that, little boy Blue. But you know what? You guys have yourself a great one. Blue, you say hello to Angry Daddy and Calm Daddy for me. Al, can I can I call you Al? I'm going to call you Al. Al, you have yourself a great night, or what's left of it.
Thank you very much. I hope I get enough sleep that I can actually be rested tomorrow. I imagine they're going to roust me out very quickly, but maybe I can get a nap before I have to come back. I don't know when they'll let me off the hook. Hopefully when you open, they'll finally decide this is over.
Well, that would be just fantastic. But as I said, time for all of us to get a few bits of shut-eye, and I've got to go throw up in some chicks' mouths. So I'll be right. So I'll see you guys later.
Don't mind him.
He kind of turns and looks at you, trying to figure out if you mean a girl's mouth or...
I'll just call out. He's raising baby birds.
Oh, okay, all right. That's a little better, I guess. Good night, all.
This horrible
Safe travels.
sound just echoes out throughout the kitchen.
Oh my god.
So is Varys going to head home to Dad and Dad?
Yeah, he'll try to get in without waking them up, and he'll write a small letter to leave them out,
Climb the
apologizing
go
for
through
being
window.
home so late. Yeah, basically, he's teenagering it, home after hours. Um,
You're a
he
monkey.
was
You
out
get
all night with his friends.
Yeah.
He will leave a small letter just like next to their door explaining that they were out on cliff business, and he apologizes for being out so late.
Very good. So hopefully you get a full night's sleep. Who wants to roll a D? Let's see, you're going. How? When are you going to open? If you're going to open.
I'd say let's start at lunchtime to give us like a few extra hours.
All right.
What do you guys think? It gives us enough time to get at least an hour or two extra, unless someone decides to jackhammer outside the window again.
You
And
do notice
plus
the
we can
street has
start
been.
advertising. We've got rooms for rent now.
You do notice the street has been very much improved. Somebody's been out there hustling people along a bit. The only hole remaining in the street looks like it's been left about the right size for your memorial clock that you're trying to get put there in the street. And there's a small barricaded area, but pretty much it looks like it's back in shape. People jump to, which makes you, as much as you know about Waterdeep, it tends to indicate somebody was overseeing something, because obviously you had some guys that were trying to slow everything down. So you have to wonder what was going on while you were gone. All this work on the inn, obviously Tully's been busy, and the street suddenly got a lot more cared for than the last time you saw it. So something's been going on over the late evening hours. Who wants to roll a d6 for me to see how early somebody starts knocking on your door? See how many hours of sleep you get. Epiphany, that 5 is your roll for it.
So everyone
Yep.
to D6.
Well, you get a fairly decent night's sleep. You get a short rest anyway, and you get 5 hours of sleep. So it is about 10 o'clock in the morning when you hear people rapping on the front door.
Is Cashin's door locked?
Yes.
We try.
Tail comes up.
I have a crossbow.
If we wanted you dead, you would already be dead. We do not want you dead. You are an ally.
What do you want?
We have a query.
I am too tired for this.
It is a simple one. Are you occupying the tower?
I'd rather keep it bare, yes.
So that is a no.
I don't want you to use it whenever you please, all right?
Very well. Epiphany slithers.
I'm gonna say, for the sake of timing, I will have come out of my room fresh, looking amazing. Kind of like did that morning workout, took a quick wash, and then is just walking out the door and going downstairs.
I will add Epiphany that this room, although there's 3 beds in it, they could be moved around. I don't think anybody's using this room as a bedroom.
That was his room.
My aunts.
Jerry, wise to the common
This is-
collected.
This is a place of death now.
You find tiny little ant bodies squished all over the floor.
Not just
My
squish.
friends.
Not just not just squish. He also finds a magnifying glass and a couple burnt ant bodies.
Sacrilege.
Epiphany takes the magnifying glass, sniffs it, and
Oh,
remembers
no.
that for later.
You're already
Contrary
starting to elaborate. Oh my god.
Contrary-wise to the common collected Nakri, Relian's door bursts open and he's wielding his ritual knife and says, "Are we under attack?"
No, we're not under attack. It's morning.
Which is your room
That is a
currently,
lie.
Relian? Is it the attic?
That is a lie. Morning does not exist in my reality.
Relian, which room are you currently using, please?
You were upstairs.
Yeah, but I'm not there now. Cousin is taking that room, so I suppose I'd just grab one of the newly constructed guest rooms near the others.
Yeah, I mean you can flop in any bed you want, and this room is currently unoccupied. The one in the attic, it's a separate room, fairly good sized room, so that is still up for grabs if somebody wanted. So basically, the two administration rooms that are available is this one with the fireplace and this one in the attic.
The one that keeps suggesting that he takes and never takes.
So, yeah.
Which one is that?
The attic, the big attic.
Secondary attic room.
You
forgot about that.
I keep suggesting that room and you never take it.
You forgot about that, didn't you?
My understanding was that was being used for something.
Nope.
It was
It
originally
was
being
for
used for
storage.
storage, but we can put storage elsewhere.
Yeah, like
No,
you don't
I
have a lot
like
to
feel,
store.
I like being mentally jilted.
Epiphany will remember this.
Definitely will.
A dwarf comes down the stairs, trotting kind of merrily, whistling to himself. It is the dwarf that told you his name was Yorn. Let me pull him to the front. The one that seemed to have odd connections that you were meeting the other day. And he comes in. We've talked about this in chat, but has the shepherd actually gone out to see if Yorn followed up on the instructions to clean out the latrine?
Not yet. I went to bed right away, so I'm probably still asleep. Well, no, I'd probably be awake now after hearing the doors going on. So yeah, here I am coming down the stairs, probably a little bit after the dwarf.
Yorn will come over to the counter and motion to Leaf. Oh, Leaf, get me an ale. Get me a breakfast ale. I need something to wake up with. And she will busy herself pouring the kind of weak ale that's a breakfast ale, pretty watered ale.
Did you get your task done yesterday?
He turns his head over his shoulder to talk to the shepherd, who's not there, but I assume he's there somewhere.
I'm over by the
Okay.
stairs. Yeah,
All right,
I'm
okay.
making my way.
He turns his head and he says, I cleaned it absolutely clean. I think you'll be satisfied.
I shall be the judge of that. And I'll go on ahead and walk outside to go towards the latrine.
When you arrive at the latrine, it seems abnormally clean. All three of them. There are 3 outhouses out by the stable, and they are, if you did not look closely and realize that the wood's a little dried out and has some holes in it and kind of splintery in places, you would have thought that somebody rebuilt the outhouses overnight. but there's still a few shingles missing, and the little stovepipe sort of affair out of the bottom of the thing is still bent like it was. So they're the same outhouses, but they are so clean they don't look like they've ever had a speck of dirt on them. They almost sparkle.
And you went out through the front door, or
Yeah, I would have gone out through the front door. And I do notice that there's some people standing out there.
As
I don't
you
know if they were still
yeah,
there.
as you open the door, Vincent Corporal Banders is back in his place with the same long-suffering look, and standing in front and almost getting hit by the door as you go swishing out the door and around the building very quickly is a rather startled Vincent Trench, who pulls himself up rather short. Is Cashin in?
He's still asleep. May I take a message?
He wants.
I'm here.
Oh, Cashin, I've got some of the answers you wanted.
I grab Vincent, and then I slowly take his spot and move him inside so that I can go and do my inspection.
Well, before we do that, I'm going to get your payment. So if you can join me, we can walk and talk.
Very good. And where is Cashin headed? Up to his room?
To Fala's apothecary.
All right. So the two of you head over to Fala's shop. Fala is up by the time you are out and about and doing things. So you head over there. Fala is busily watering plants, tending to things, carefully nipping a leaf off of this plant or bending a bonsai plant to the exact shape that they want, and is happily humming to themselves.
Hello, Fala. Cashin announces.
Ah, do you have my herbs?
Yes, I finally do. Sorry for the long wait. And he takes out the bundle of herbs and surprises her with the water skin.
She shakes it. Water? What's this?
I found a very interesting spring filled with this, well, for lack of a better term, glowing water.
Their eyes open very wide and says, enchanted water? Oh, let me go test it. And they run over to a testing table and drop out just a few drops into a vial and put something else in it. And when they hold it up to the light, you can see there's like a blue star glow effect coming out of the water. Yes! Wherever did you find this? Was there more?
Sadly, that's all there was. It was out in the farmlands.
I'm going to have to check there more often. I never imagined this could be found there. What a surprise. Well, you've certainly earned your pay, I must say. Oh, Vincent, I see you're here as well. Can I help you with anything? Vincent just shakes his head. No, I was here to see Cashin. I decided to come along.
Yeah, the payment may as well go to him since I hired him for a certain task.
Oh, well, thank you very much. I appreciate that. Paula reaches into a drawer and takes out an envelope with some money in it. It's not a pouch, but you can tell there's a decent amount of gold in the envelope that she's got, large envelope. And they hand it to Vincent, and Vincent takes it and tucks it into an inner pocket in his coat. Why, thank you very much. I appreciate that, Cashin. That's generous of you. Paula says, in addition, if you need any help that the Herbalist Society can perform for you, please come by and ask me. I'll be sure to have them at your back. and you have a point of renown for the Herbalist Society.
Excellent. With that out of the way, Cashin will ask Trench if they can discuss what he learned back at his office.
He will motion you around kind of the side of the building, out just, kind of down the side, and where you guys can talk quietly, and there's hubbub on the street, but just kind of enough out of prying eyes that you don't look like you're hiding, but you're not standing in the middle of the street and talking.
Okay.
Some interesting things going on. Well, let me start with giving you some basic information before I answer your question. There's some children, if you can call them that. They're almost not children. They're some rather streetwise urchins that I frequently communicate with when I want to know what's going on around town. I found them down by the docks, and I started talking with them just a bit to see what they had seen and what had been going on. Regarding a Nimblewright, they had seen a Nimblewright on one of the ships there. He seems to be working with the sailors, but you said that the Nimblewright you were looking for is blue?
Yes.
This one wasn't blue. It was gold in color, goldish color, bronze perhaps, but it was not a blue color. They did have one piece of information. I'm not sure if it is what you are looking for, but it sounds like it's on track. One of the children, his name is, well, I don't know what his name was. They call him Squidly. Squidly said that while they were out scrounging for food up in part of the city, they saw a heavily cloaked creature. He can't tell me whether it was blue or not, but he said that it moved in a very strange way. And when I asked him to mark on a map where he saw it, he gave me a little piece of one of the Waterdeep maps and marked it on the thing. He said it looked like it was headed towards... He stops and thinks for a moment. Fenris's house. That's what he said. Fenris's house. When I asked him who Fenris was, he said, the old lamplighter. Haven't you ever met him before? I said, no, I hadn't come across him. But apparently Fenris lives up on this alley, and from what Squidly says, he has strange comings and goings at all hours of the day and night. Most of the street people figure he's on the take from somebody. They don't know who.
And that's everything.
Pretty much. He reaches in to the pocket and takes out another paper separate from the one the envelope that he deposited, and unfolds it, and it is a torn section of one of the tourist maps of Waterdeep, and there is an X marked on it, and next to it in very scrawled handwriting of somebody who's not very literate is simply the word Fenris with this X beside it.
Cashin gives a nod and looks to Trench and say, thank you very much. This was worth every single penny.
Excellent. Let me know. Are you going to be opening again soon, now that some of the troubles are over?
Very soon.
Excellent. I'll come by for a drink.
Have a good day. Make sure to keep your head down. I don't like the sound of any of this.
Oh, I have my ways of getting about town without being noticed. Thank you very much. And he winks an eye at you, and as I always say when you're communicating, with him, give me a perception roll.
Ooh.
His eyes momentarily turn into the diamonds of Cat's eyes, and you notice his ears twitch rather oddly.
Well, Cashin shows no sign of recognizing it, but he keeps a mental note of that and bids him good day before returning to the tavern.
Vincent nods and whistles as he walks off towards the Tiger's Eye establishment that is his detective agency. Very good.
Madam DM, I am going to use that sleight of hand roll. It is a noisy coin landing near Captain Banders.
A noisy coin landing?
Yeah, like if you take like a coin and you flip it and it hits stone, how it kind of like makes a noise.
All right.
Nakri will be behind him with 2 cups of coffee, one in each hand. She's like, Captain, what fell over there?
He looks around trying to spot the coin. It sounded like a coin, ma'am. Do you need it?
It must have fallen off from somewhere. Could you bring it here, please? I'm sorry.
He looks around. It takes him just a moment of finding things out. And that was not what I intended to roll there, people. That was just what I clicked as I accidentally moved across. And I need... a sheet up that I don't have. See how long it takes him to find it.
Yeah, no worries.
It takes him a while to find it. He scrapes around and looks around. He finally finds the coin has rolled under the stairs coming up, and he gets down on his hands and knees and picks it up. Here you go, ma'am.
Oh, here, take one of these cups real quick and I can take that from you.
He takes the cup. Thank you very much. Do
And
you
then
mind if I
she'll
drink some?
She'll take the coin, and she takes the coin, she'll go, why, Corporal Banders, you've just paid me for the drink. Whatever have I deny you for that? And she'll go back inside.
He stands there for just a moment with his mouth kind of open, and finally he just kind of grins to himself and shakes his head and turns around and happily sips the warm coffee.
Yeah. Sleight of hand, trying to make it as noisy as possible, worked out in my favor, so yeah, Doctor's gonna just give him coffee. She's like, he helped us last night, so he gets a hot drink for the breakfast.
I would have came back in and looked over to Jorn. Your task has been acceptable.
Yorn looks up with a kind of a sparkle in his eye and a lopsided grin, as he always does, and says, I thought it would be up to your best standards. Worked my fingers to the bone, I did. And he kind of waggles his fingers in the air at you and grins.
Well, make sure you get yourself a hearty breakfast. I will have another task for you later.
I'm not surprised to find that you will. Kind of expected it. You're not very fond of me, are you, sir?
To be fair, I'm not really fond of anyone. However, you did say that you would be willing to work for board, and so we will see you work for your board.
Aye, that I did say, and I'm doing what you asked.
At the mention of him not liking anybody, Relian would perk up from him cleaning the table and says, I can attest to that.
He can. And I'll go and... I'm assuming... Oh no, he would be making the breakfast, never mind.
Come on, Commander Grump. We got opening to do.
Leaf will float back and forth from the kitchen getting plates and things that Relian sets out to put out a kind of a simple cafeteria style breakfast with some pancakes in one and some meat in another and some eggs, and sets out coffee and breakfast ales and things for you.
Gonna put some papers down on the back corner table over here. Then probably bustle myself to fix some of the tables and whatnot. Leave plenty of room for workers to go through, but at the same time, just kind of organize it a little bit better.
Be aware there is a stack of chairs over here in the corner by the hatch door that you can use for additional chairs.
Alright, let's move the whole table.
They are all stacked up. Those chairs fall on the floor, but I will take them off.
Okay, yeah, I was gonna say that there's some chairs stacked on some table for some reason.
Yeah, no,
Yeah,
I wasn't trying to move.
they were intentionally stacked on the table because they pushed the table out of the garret area to be working in that.
Okay.
Yeah, no, I was just moving the table to try and see if I could click the image, but it looks like I can't. So that's why I was a little confused.
What image are you trying to click?
The other on the side chair, right there. Goes.
No, that one you couldn't, but you'll be able to click these.
Yeah, that's why I was just moving the table. Sorry, I didn't mean to make that like an in character thingy.
Anyway, I gave you all kinds of fun furniture that you can move around to your heart's content, so you are set up with that. And
That's the map piece right there.
So what are your plans then? How are you going to do this?
Cashin will just announce that he's going to go get some more work done, get some more work to get more money.
Very good. So are you going to head off to the tower? Is that your intent?
Yeah, after everyone announces their plans for the day.
I'm gonna stay behind and remain with the shop. So if you guys want to do stuff, by all means, go for it.
I have to go and see a friend today at some point.
I can't move that middle piece from the table. Sorry.
Okay, just a moment.
Varus will stop by the inn and just generally speak, try to help out around the tavern. He will also mention in passing that when they have spare chunk of time, they do, and if they he can't get extra the enclave, but he would have getting until they have.
You were breaking up, but I think I got most of it. You basically were saying you will tell them that you have an offer of getting more work from the enclave when they're ready, but you're waiting until they tell you when to get it.
Pretty much, yeah.
That's fine. If you wanted to experiment at all with the basement, by all means, take all the time you need.
You have a still down there in the basement now.
Woo.
Sorry. And I'm making all these like weird little pings as I'm trying to like just tweak stuff, but damn you.
Okie doke. All right, so the shepherd needs to do his thing that he's got to go talk to Mert. I know that. Cashin is going to go to the tower and talk to them, and Varus is offering to go get more errands for money at the Emerald Enclave. How do you want to do this? And what is Epiphany going to do with the day?
Epiphany is likely just going to hang around the tavern because they've been pushing it as it is with being seen out and about, and the last time they walked, as an unaccompanied individual, things happened.
Varys, as a general statement, Varys helping out around the tavern, he also let people that if they have the time, get more work from the Enclave.
Well,
He's also at some point going to try to break into Cashin's room and move everything a quarter of an inch to the left.
locked.
You didn't declare it before you left.
Well, he's not going to do it now.
Anyway, Epiphany will cause havoc as he usually does. And what is Relian doing with the day besides cooking? Are you doing anything else?
Cooking, helping out Nokri, probably helping out Epi with some mischief if he asked. Two people can get into a locked room a lot better than one person can. But he'd also be sharing little secret whispers and looks with Jorn, as it were. To,
Yorn. Pronounce as if it
Yorn.
has a Y.
Yorn.
Yorn Axe Grinder. There might be a reason for that name.
Yeah, but he'd be, sharing little hushed whispers and secret glances here and there, just so so they can start working on what to do going forward.
I wonder if Senpai noticed me now.
Well, I didn't.
In that case, you will have some information that you will need. We'll handle
You're
that
not here,
in
Cashin.
turn.
He's still here.
You said you were leaving.
No, he said he was telling me what he was going to do with the day, that he's going to leave to get more quests when we start doing that. I'm just we haven't done anything at this point.
I thought this was a progression of time explanation. My apologies.
Alrighty. Let me. I can't really copy it very easily. There's no way to copy this. Basically, I will give all of you. We might take a 5-minute intermission break or something, so I can get these various quests that you will be picking up typed in properly into your private messages for you to do it. But Yorn, as you are talking with him, gives you some information about a potion shop in the trades ward that is known as Weird's Bottles Concoctions, and something that Yorn wants you to do related to that. You will get some information on it, Relian. And for Cashin, when you leave, you head up towards the tower. The first one that you meet is the one that you usually run across. That is the secretary, and her name's Gold something or other. I'm trying to find it. But of course I can't find it when I.
I remember the name of the guy who gave him the first mission is Salid Amif.
Yeah, but he's just like an outer contact. This is the Gold Spur. The secretary is an elf. Clearly, from the way she's dressed and the way she reports herself and who she works for, you can very much surmise that probably she's one of the mages. And she is best way to describe her is Miss Moneypenny, for anybody who's a 007 fan.
Mhm.
She handles everything. She handles it efficiently. She knows exactly where everybody in the organization is at any given time, but she manages to do it in a reasonably friendly manner and not come off as too officious, even though she makes sure that nobody gets to see the black staff that isn't supposed to see the black staff. She has on her desk a note from Salid, and since you have not specifically met Miss Goldspur before, you would, I assume, introduce yourself to her.
Cash into sell. I'm here
Ah,
for work.
yes, I have this from Mr. Emif. Salid sent this. He said to be expecting you. I will tell you each day that you come in that there is a word of the day which will be used to pass information should you need it on an emergency basis. Today's word is chaos. Do not forget it. If you need to send a note and we wish to be sure it is from you, sign it with that note above your name, if you would.
Cashin nods and thanks her for the information.
She ushers you back into the spiral staircase that goes up. You climb up quite a few floors to the Blackstaff's office, and she looks up. Her desk. Since this is the first time you've actually seen her office, her desk is piled high with papers. She just has a kind of a corridor that she can look out, and she looks up at you with this kind of long-suffering look. Ah, Cassian, you have come in the nick of time. I'm very glad to see you.
Mm-hmm. Very interesting code word for the day. I guess it has to do with whatever's happening since the last few days.
Very definitely. Things are breaking loose everywhere. This is strange. I really don't know where to begin. There are things happening all over the city. It is as if small eruptions of chaos are happening here, there, the other place. I am starting to wonder if these events are being directed somehow by a greater hand. I really don't understand what's going on. But we need to find out.
Hmm.
One of the things that is, well, if you know Waterdeep's history, as I'm sure you do, it appears we have another dragon resident in the harbor.
What color is it?
Gold. It's apparently quite young. It's relatively small, but it has
Did
been
you say
seen.
gold?
Yes.
Hmm.
Oh, it
Well,
could be
that's
bronze.
not.
It could be bronze, gold colored. Let me put it that way.
Hmm.
But it appears to be
Okay.
young. The sailors who have spotted it surfacing at times has said it's fairly small considering.
And has it said anything to them?
It has poked its head up and actually spoken with some of the sailors and been relatively friendly. It has asked them for fish, actually.
Interesting.
See if you can find out a way to investigate this dragon. Perhaps take a rowboat or something. I will give you this chit, and she scribbles a quick little note with her signature on it. Give this to any of the fishermen, and they will lend you a brief journey in one of their boats, or perhaps row you out to the harbor if you tell them what you're after.
Well, hopefully I don't have to swim down to meet it.
Indeed, it has poked its head up, so we shall see what it wants.
Hmm, I thank you. And just to tell you, I have more. Hmm, I have I have some peculiar information, but I don't have anything definitive yet. I'll tell you more once I see a man about some lamps.
Ah, most curious. Lamps, you say? Oh, I will be interested to hear this tale. You don't wish to share any more?
Hmm. Well, let's just say some street urchins. I've seen some peculiar things.
They have a way of doing that. Ah, be careful of them, though. They have a way of removing loose items from your person.
That's why you always work through a second source or an intermediary.
Excellent. Please contact me if you need more, but be careful if you go down in any of the zones where they're known to frequent. There's lots of troublemakers down in those areas, and with chaos erupting all around us, you could be attacked.
I'm just going to tell you one thing though. Keep an eye on Lord Zord. I don't think I think there's more to him than there is.
I would not disagree with you. It seems to me that trouble follows in his literal wake. His ships sail into port, and we have things happening, and this trip seems even more fraught with difficulties than normal. I don't know if he's behind it, but I certainly am going to keep my eye on him. Thank you for reminding me about his presence.
It is no trouble. And Cashin bows and leaves.
Very good. And Shepard, are you heading to Mert to see what he has for you?
Well, part follow up on what I've learned because I've never talked to him about the Growlhand incident.
All right, very good. Let me put all of you over to the city map because you're in different places and I need you to know where you've gone. Were you at his establishment once before?
No, but he did say to meet him at his house for anything further because I did ask him if I should be going to the ticket master for anything else or if I should be going to him, and he told me to go to him.
You, on this map, if you find Castle Waterdeep,
I have no idea. Oh, there it is in the south, next to Mount Waterdeep.
not far from the castle is a large three-storied plastered building with kind of towers in its southern portion. This building right here.
Okay.
Um,
So right on Waterdeep Way.
exactly. It's remarkably near Castle Waterdeep. And for those of you who don't remember or whatever, there are three enormous well, four, I suppose, counting the Blackstaff's Tower, uh, large residences in the city that are important places. There is the Palace of Waterdeep, which is where the Open Lord lives and holds court, shall we say, when people want to come. Mert's picture currently, as a matter of fact, is on it. Um, and this building here, this big Palace of Waterdeep, is where you will find Laertel Silvermane, I think it is. That no, not Silvermane. That's Gelester. What is her name?
Silverhand?
Silverhand. Thank you. Yes. She is the Open Lord of Waterdeep, and that's where you will find her. let me put her picture on that building to make it easier for you to remember that that's where she resides. That picture is a little indefinite, but it is actually a picture of a woman elf who has a rather severe face. Mert's building then is over here, and then you have the peak top area and the griffins, which is where the griffin masters, including Gelester Silvermane, reside. That are the griffin area of the town. So it's a busy area in this. Mert's building is this enormous plastered building, as I said, and across an big arch, there's porticos. There's a big porch with porticos and pillars on the front of it. Very overly impressive building. And across the archway that leads into the building is an enormous arch sign in gilt letters that says, "The Treasury." And then in smaller letters underneath that you kind of have to get closer to read, it says, "Money lending for all."
I can go up to the door and I knock on it.
There's no one comes. The doors kind of lightly swing a little bit. However, when you do it, you can open them quite easily.
Oh, okay. I cast Thaumaturgy to open the door.
You open to a rather startled-looking group of scribes and clerks who are sitting at desks with huge ledgers, quill pens, and various scrolls stacked in cubby holes down a long, long aisle. There are probably a total of 30 of these desks or more, divided half and half on the side. Behind them, in order to walk to the back of the building and the offices back there and the stairways, you would have to walk down this aisle of scribes. Behind one set of the scribes to your right, there is a long row of tellers' windows with very dark, sort of mahogany-looking wood and bars of the type that people can't reach through, but there's a slot where money can be passed back and forth. It looks like some very ostentatious bank with a lot of scribes. There is what you might say is a master of scribes who was standing with his hands behind his back, keeping an eye on the scribes, who turns to look over his shoulder, rather startled as the doors swing open with this spell. And he looks you up and down, kind of down his nose. He's got glasses on the end of his nose, and he kind of looks at you like, "Really?" And he says, "Making an impression for somebody, are we?"
I don't exert myself, and I go and walk in.
"May I help you, sir?"
No, you may not. I am looking for Lord de Guerre.
"Then I can help you. May I say who's calling, sir?"
The shepherd, Imriel Morban.
"Very well. Please wait a moment. I'm sure he will be out in just a moment." And he walks stately. He's very tall, and he walks, this beanstalk of a man, walks down the aisle, looking over each of the scribes' desks to let the scribes know he's keeping an eye on them as he goes, down the aisle to the offices in the back, and disappears through a door. And it is not very long before the door swings open in a noisy fashion, and rotund Mr. Mert, who is almost as wide as he is tall, comes rolling out of the doorway, because he just practically rolls as he walks. And he comes out of the doorway, moving pretty fast for him, red-faced. He comes chunking down the aisle with his hand out, grabs your hand whether you want to or not, pumps it up and down several times. "Oh, welcome to the Treasury. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Glad to have you. Come back to my office."
Indeed, and I'll take my hand back and start following after him.
You pass the master of scribes as you come, and he kind of looks down his nose at you as you pass, like, he's wondering who the heck you are to come bursting in here. He doesn't look like the type that probably has visited the city of the dead very often, so he probably doesn't recognize you. But Mert,
I was gonna say, he doesn't recognize the name, then not anyone, not in my domain.
right. Mert ushers you into the back door. He's giving lots of, oh, it's been a long time since I've seen you. Good to see you kind of thing. The kind of things that are clearly fake to you because you've seen in recent past. And he ushers you through the door, closes the door behind, and kind of sags out of his really effervescent style into a little bit more businesslike. Ah, glad to have you reporting. Can I get your drink? I know it's early in the day, but can I offer any refreshments for you of any kind?
Water will be fine.
He nods and goes over and gets a large pitcher of water, and then he goes over to a case that it has a kind of a shimmering blue haze over it, and he opens this case and takes out some silver-looking tongs, and very carefully, as he opens it, there's like a dry ice sort of steam comes up out of this case, and he takes a irregular cube of ice and drops it into your water and offers it to you.
And I'll take it, and I'll thank you very much, Mert.
Now, what do you have to report for me?
I have no doubt you probably already heard about the battle at the Growlhund estate.
It's everywhere, yes. There's been quite a bit of trouble. Obviously, that close-up thing following it was part of it. I've been working along with some of the other leaders trying to get some of the overly officious people off of your trail.
Yes, that was half our doing, half the what we've come to know as the Vest Zentarum.
What have you figured out about this group?
That their people were once affiliated with Yala Grelhund herself. Apparently she betrayed them in some kind of dealing, and one of their members, Erstol Floxen, did manage to kill Orin Grelhund before being incapacitated by myself and my companions.
What has happened to Erstal?
He is currently in hiding right now.
I see. And you feel that the normal Zentarum are not part of this?
I do feel for that. That is an acceptable guess. There are two members that I do suspect were affiliated with either one or the other of the Zentarum. It seems that they are against the Fist Zentarum, at least.
Two members of what?
Of the Zentarum, the original.
Ah, I see. So they have betrayed, as you said. Most curious. Yes, Erstal Floxen's name is known to me. Over the past several years, he was a major member of the, as you say, the regular Zentarum. And you say he apparently is now part of the Fist Zentarum. Most curious. You are aware that the current leader here in the city is under imprisonment?
I've been told that the name was Davil. I don't know anything else about him.
Indeed. He is apparently being blamed for the murders.
Do we know who is blaming him?
The city guard. They are saying that evidence that they found at the manor indicated, and apparently testimony of Yala Gralhund herself, indicated that the Zentarum broke into her manor, threatened her and her family at knife point, demanded things that she knew nothing about, and eventually killed her husband. She is blaming Erstal as being one of these individuals who broke into her manor along with the other Zentarum. Unfortunately, it appears, most coincidentally, that her guards killed all of the Zentarum who were on the grounds.
Well, not all of them were killed, and the only thing that is factual there was that Erstal killed Orum Growlhund. Everything else, at least according to Erstal, is fabricated against him.
Most interesting. I know what her goal is. She wants to get one of the Lord's positions. That she's been quite plain about. But how is she going to wield this into power? I don't understand. This can only work against her. If she is losing the support of the Zentarum because of this, she stands to lose her backing as far as I can tell.
Apparently, she has aligned herself with someone called the Showman. I know absolutely nothing about this person other than by their name. I have a theory as to who it could be, but that's all it is a theory.
I as well have a theory, but again, what does he stand to win by it? This is curious. I will be plain, because you cannot work in an environment where you do not have information. There is only one that really would have the title of that, and that is the Master of the Maiden's Fair. He comes during the festivals, and it seems like trouble often follows in his wake, but never has he been tied to it. Never. He
You
always...
speak of Lord Zord, right?
I do, yes. I have to wonder how he is tied into this. He is out of the northern cities. He is not from Waterdeep itself, to the best of my knowledge.
Well, if he is involved in this, that would make the second incident that I know of that he has had some hand in the disruption of Waterdeep. I don't know if you remember about the half-elf killings in the dock wards.
Yes, I do. And you had some court dealings with an individual that you accused of being the killer, but apparently he got off and was banned from the city for a while.
Yeah, we haven't seen that man, but that man was under the employ of Zarda Zord.
Yes, Lord Zord employs a great many drow, which makes me wonder. He employs all races, but, well, thank you for this. I'm going to have to think on this carefully. I don't understand how she is connected to the showman, or how Lord Zord stands to gain. I would think that if chaos erupts in this city, that he would only stand to lose income.
Unless he is also looking for lordship himself, like Yala Grelhund is for herself. Is he powerful enough to have done so?
He is not one of the nobles of Waterdeep. He is from one of the northern cities, and a city that is somewhat at enmity with Waterdeep, although he has papers to travel back and forth between the two. And your DM is having a brain fart moment. What is the northern city that starts with an L?
Luskin.
Luskin, thank you. He is from Luskin.
There's something else to be at play here then. There was all this had led from Lord Neverember's man apparently there was some kind of object that was stolen from him by Urstel Flaxen, and that was what brought him to Lady Grelhan's home. Again, going by his word, not hers, it is a he said kind of deal.
What is this? Do you know anything about this object?
Do I know anything about this object? I don't know if
You know its name and a few things like this, very light things. Rest of you want to OOCly reminded?
I do remember the name, but I didn't know if I knew that ICly or
No,
not.
we would at this point we would have shared all that information, especially with trying to figure out what caused the fight in the middle of the street. Like,
And
we were
Urstel said specifically that they had been after that object, but that the explosion in the street injured him, and that he had almost not made it back to Gralhund's estate, but he had the object. And he turned it over to Yala Gralhund, and she betrayed him.
So then, yeah, he had an object that was known as the Stone of Galore, and he brought that to Yala Gralhund. She then betrayed him, and that is what ended up the bloodbath, as it were.
The Stone of Galore is real?
It's either real or they believe it to be real to kill over it. They killed Neverember's man.
This begins to be clearer. This may not all be regarding a lordship in Waterdeep. This may be a much simpler plan than what I thought. It was right in front of my nose. They're not after the lordship, they're after wealth. Pure and simple.
Wealth? What wealth?
Wealth beyond imagining. The horde of dragons that Lord Neverember was said to have absconded with. He was ousted from Waterdeep many decades ago under great shame. He was one of the lords of Waterdeep. And
I remember him.
He was the open lord.
He apparently, from the saying, stole almost all the treasury, and it has never been found. It has taken a very many years for the town to recoup its wealth.
That is very interesting. I always thought that that was just a story or a myth.
No, the money disappeared. I assumed that he had sunk it into Neverwinter in rebuilding that city. But perhaps it is not all reinvested, shall we say. Most curious. There could be a great deal of money involved in this, and if you are looking for a lordship, it could buy the lordship. If you are looking for luxury, it would buy luxury. That explains why many different people may be after this.
Well, I don't think the Grelhunds are. Well, Lady Grelhund is looking for luxury. We do know that she's looking for lordship. But if she's throwing her lot in with the showman, or in this case, who we suspect is Zarda Zord, what does he want with it?
I would answer quickly and say wealth, but Lord Zord is not poor by even the farthest stretch of the imagination. If you ever visit his ships, you will find that the ships themselves are floating mansions. They are equipped with every possible luxury you could want. He has 3 of those ships, and they are all amazing vessels. His lordship in Luskan itself is quite wealthy. I'm not quite sure what he's after.
In any case, that is pretty much everything that I do know that matters, at least.
Well, be very careful. Whoever has that stone now, you say it's not at the Gralhund estate now.
No, I suspect that the Nimblewright that the Grelhunds had fled with it.
Where would a Nimblewright go? Now
I
there's
saw
the
it
question.
flee. I saw it flee on the rooftops to the south. Where it went after that, I don't know if it kept going south. But I will tell you that the Nimblewright is blue in color.
Well, that is not. I happen to know that there were two Nimberites that were brought to the city. One legally brought in and left with the temple, and one has remained on Lord Zord's ship, but neither of them are blue.
Indeed. The one that is blue, we suspect, was created by the one that is at the inspired hands. The one that we have called Nim.
Most interesting. Again, the name comes up, Lord Zord. Everything swirls around him, does it not?
Indeed. Indeed.
Well, be careful and see if you can find out where that stone may have gone with the Nimblewright. Try to track down the Nimblewright as soon as you can. That, I think, is probably the crux of the matter at this point.
That is what my next plan of action will be, is to find this Nimblewright. That being
Excellent.
said, I do have a request.
What is that?
I am reopening Inara's investigation into the cult within the nobility.
Very well. Very well. I would think that that reached a number of dead ends before. Do you think you can find her murderer this time?
I believe I can. If there's any information that was left behind, I will need it.
Very well. If you need to run any further errands for money, let me know. I have numerous problems in the city. Things are breaking up all over the city, and I believe that a lot of these things are happening because somebody is trying to keep the guard scattered all over. I don't know what's going on. So be careful wherever you go.
If you do have a task that can hand out money, that would probably be beneficial for myself and my group.
I do, and he goes over to his desk and picks up the paper and he says, let's see, her name is Uza Solaseth. She runs a bookstore on Soren Street in the Trades Ward.
Soren Street in the trade district, you said?
Yes.
Okay.
She swears that a day ago she trapped a monster in her basement.
Really?
This is what I'm talking about. It's like these corruption things are springing up all over the city. Small things, not large. Things that don't require a great deal of effort to handle. Things like tracking down Maxine. Someone runs off with Maxine. Someone says there's trouble in the farmlands. Someone says some halfling had something happen in his bar. There's just things happening all over the city of this strange nature. And
myself and my companions just handled the situation with the farmlands.
Excellent, excellent. Well, that's one, but that's what I'm saying. These aren't big things. We don't need an army, but it peels off a few guards here, a few guards there, your group to something else. And the guard is now scattered all over Waterdeep. 3 guards here and 5 guards there, and that sounds to me like somebody's thinking to cause trouble.
Indeed. Well, I'll go ahead and talk to my companions about handling this situation. Before I go, may I make a request for another shadow job, for someone to shadow someone else?
You mean a quest for him to give you to shadow someone else?
Essentially, like how I asked for someone to shadow Maxine to make sure she wasn't going to get kidnapped again.
Oh, so you want somebody to do the shadowing on Maxine? Is that what you're asking him?
Well, not on Maxine. I'm given another target essentially.
Ah, okay. Now I'm with you. Yes. Who do you have in mind?
The shepherd, Imriel Morban. I
You
do
mean-
not intend to follow Inara to the grave quite yet.
I see. So you want to have someone keeping an eye on you as you travel around the city, eh?
Indeed.
Not an unwise thing. There's trouble brewing everywhere and seems to be knives and a lot of facts. You're not unwise to have somebody keep an eye.
Thank you.
As you get probably 2/3 of the way back towards the Trollskull when you leave, you will start noticing that there is an individual who looks like kind of a devil-may-care rogue sort of man in a fancy blouse, not really a shirt, it's a blouse, with a lot of feathers in his hat and various things that you have noticed too many times, and you suspect he is probably the one who has been sent to follow you, but he manages to disappear down alleys, and somehow or other you notice him then ahead of you waiting as you pass and such things. Whether it is your shadow or somebody who's watching you from another source, you're not sure.
I'll make a note of what he appears and just keep an eye out if I ever see him again.
Very good. So do you finish up, or do you have anything else that you need to?
I'm heading back to Trollskull.
Very good. As you head up the high road, and I need to get a sheet up here. To see something. Reminding you on your timing. Today is the last day of High Harvest Time. And as you come by the bazaar street in the market, you see wagons lined up at the main entrance to the market, and it looks like things are being loaded on those wagons. Large things.
I guess I'll take a wander over to the market to see what's going on.
There's a stream of people coming and going from the market with tent pieces and so forth. They are dismantling the Maiden's Fair circus tent.
Do I see any familiar faces like Zord or Saloon or the Thunderstick guy?
No, you don't see any of the top persons. Give me a perception roll, please.
Sure. Perception, scroll up. Oop, it's not up. There. That is a 14.
1 second. Nope, you do not. I'll tell you what, give me an insight roll on top of your perception roll.
Alright. Insight, I'm good at insight. That's a 15.
That's a good roll, but in this particular case, a couple of individuals pass you, and you have just a feeling of watching them as you go by. You look at them carefully, but it doesn't feel like you've seen their appearance before. You walk on past and start heading back to the Trollskull, but something nags at your mind in the background that for some reason that one individual sticks in your mind as they went past, but they appeared to just be one of the workers.
Oh, the guy that was following me?
No, this is one of the workers from the circus.
Oh, one of the workers from the circus. I noticed them, you said?
Yeah, you noticed them, something about the way he moved or something caught your eye and you were aware of him, so you turned and looked up and down at him. His eyes glance at you briefly. He's a man about the same height as you, but he's a worker, fairly tall, strong, strapping worker. But he walks on past you with some big poles tied together, strapped and on his shoulder. And he walks on past and dumps them into one of the wagons. But something about him catches your eye. You don't know what it is, however.
Let me see if I have it prepared. I do. I'm going to cast Detect Magic.
The man has a strong aura of magic around him. And let's see. It will be illusion magic if it says that, yeah, it says the school. Yep. Strong aura of illusion magic around him.
I walk over to him and I'm going to place a hand on his shoulder.
There is a brief, it's as if multiple images of the individual shift rapidly one to the other, and all of a sudden there is a tall, very elegant drow in a large brimmed hat standing in front of you, who looks very startled as you did that.
Do I recognize him?
I will let you roll a history roll, but you have to roll rather high. I'm going to say it would be about a 17, because this is not circles that you moved in.
Okay. Dang, that's a 10.
Simply the startlement of him suddenly turning into a drow itself is startling to you. I don't know how you would react with that. He certainly reacts very strangely, and he goes, "I beg your pardon, exactly what are you doing, sir?"
I should ask you the same thing. Why are you using illusion magic?
Drow are not always the most accepted in this city. It's easier for me if I have more a human look.
I want to say I know it's because I don't recognize him.
Well, either way,
You would have a general feeling that this man is not just a worker. He's got a feeling about him of a noble.
Of a noble? Maybe it's not who I think it is.
Okay, never
He
know.
is very handsome and very elegant and very self-confident as he looks at you. He has one eyebrow raised, and you get the feeling that were anything to go down, he would be very much in control of the circumstances.
Why are you doing manual labor?
Because I work with the circus and it needs to be carted off. I come and I help the other workers. Just because I am better off does not mean I'm above manual labor when it's necessary.
Very
Well,
kind of you.
who are you to question me?
A concerned citizen.
Then I am merely a dedicated citizen, sir, and I am helping the workers. Good day. And he turns, narrowly missing you with the big poles that he's carrying on his shoulders. He swings around in almost Three Stooges fashion, and you have to kind of duck to keep from getting hit by them, and he throws the poles into one of the wagons and then turns and heads back towards the circus tent.
Yeah, I'll just step back, start walking off, and I'll cast Thaumaturgy under his feet to make it start rumbling under him.
He
I knew it
stopped.
was intentional.
He stopped and turns and looks at you again with one eyebrow cocked. Oh, come now. That's very childish.
So it was trying to hit me with your poles, and I just walk away.
He is smiling a deep smirk as you leave.
Then, yeah, I make my way back to Trollskull.
Okay, so we have all regathered in the meeting room of Trollskull Alley. It is now probably about an hour before the doors open again. What do you want to handle? Sharing of informations, I would think.
Cashin will share that he has a new job having to deal with a dragon, possibly gold, possibly bronze, in the harbor, scaring fishermen. And he will also share some information, but after Shepard shares his.
Yep. So I would share with them about the job as well. That there's a you said it was a bookmaster. I just have Uza Solisef Sorn Street. I know the
it's
person.
a woman bookseller in the trades work.
Yep, a woman bookseller on Sorn Street that apparently has a monster in her basement.
That doesn't seem too bad to handle. I think it's something we should go and take a look at.
Indeed. Also, Miss Nakri, I have something to talk to you about in private when we have a chance.
Of course.
I have some information too. The information, some information I got from Mr. Trench after hiring his services.
Does Cashin, as he's sharing this information, does he show them the piece of map?
No, he'll show it later during the private discussion.
By the way, Yorn is not in the room. You wouldn't be speaking when she is there. This is the only ones that are currently in the meeting room are those of you who have returned from your various tasks. Who's missing?
What's the weather like outside?
It is sunny. It is crisp.
Okay.
It is crisp and cool, but it is sunny. It is autumn and the leaves are turning and it is starting to be a bit nippy in the air.
Okay.
Is Varys there, I assume?
Sorry, Discord is being weird for me. Is the Varys is in the Trollskull?
Are you there? Yes.
Yeah, he's there.
All right. So all 6 of you are in the room. There is no one but Leaf in the room with you. The various waitresses and things are off getting things set up in the kitchen and so forth. So if you want to have a private discussion, this is the time that you can do so. This is the time you can share, or you can go down in the cellar and close the door and be private. But
Varys has already shared his information, so it isn't really that.
you shared that you went to the EE. Did you share what he told you specifically?
About that has a job waiting.
Well, that he said, what he said about the things are out of his control all over the city.
He has not shared that yet, no. But he will turn to cast. If you're going to be fiddling around in the harbor, I'm more than willing to come with you. In fact, it would be quite a benefit. I do have a affinity for water.
Well, I prefer everyone be there because I don't want things to go south with this dragon.
A
But
gold
if they
dragon is
do,
not.
I
Continue.
didn't say it was gold. I just said people thought it was gold. It could be bronze for all we know.
Mm. Sorry, I remember hearing gold. My bad. That was my OOC poops.
In any case, Cashin will. I'll continue. I don't want things to go south, but if they do, well, better to have 5 people than well 6 people than just 2,
That's fair.
Indeed.
and we'll all roast together.
And
Preferably not.
the scales of the dragon. What are they?
The sailors said it looked gold in color, but we can't be sure if it's gold or bronze.
Metallics are not generally terrible dragons. They're all but chosen of Bahamadi. It's the chromatics, the ones that kind of match my own scale color, that are the ones you should be more worried about. But
Brilliant
he
comes
may
out
have
of
information.
Relian comes out of the kitchen, points at Knocker, and says, "Evil!" And then he says, "How big is this thing?"
They said it's a young dragon, but even so, it's a dragon.
Misguided. We may be able to ask him to move along,
We'll see.
but we can at least look into him.
I will say
Oh,
Seeley, as the DM, that once all of you get your various quests, you will find that all of them are these smallish quests, but they are very much in the keeping of this theme that we've got tonight of chaos is breaking out all over.
Varus will say that he will say, I may be requesting your help when the Springtide Festival. Double checking notes.
we're doing
Uh,
harvest.
uh,
Hold on, let me get the list up again so that I have the names of these, proper names of them. You are leaving High Harvest Tide. Today is the last day of High Harvest Tide. There will then be 2 days of cleanup, basically, from the festivities of High Harvest Tide, and it will be followed by the Day of Wonders, which is the day of the Temple of Dawn parade.
right. Sorry, I was thinking Maiden's Fair. Varus will say, I may be asking for your assistance on a larger problem when Maiden's Fair draws closer. Last year we had quite a problem with the merfolk stirring up trouble in the harbor. It seems that they're acting up again, and I don't know if it's a coincidence that they're doing it at the same time of year 2 years in a row. But I bet money that it's not.
For one thing, I would like to say that there are too many coincidences happening all over the town. Too many happy accidents, so to speak, to make them not connected. The only difference is what is actually connecting them.
And here we get back into one of those Limo Emo. Hello, Limo Emo. No, they are not our sponsor, but they have an ad that is perfect for what we've had a lot of things. Shepard has a Limo Emo connections board in his room, and you guys are starting to make one of them as well. You're going to have to lay out this board of this is connected to this, is connected to this, is connected to this, and somebody else.
Just for clarification, they are not our sponsor, but they could be. Call us.
You see, just think of all the pictures we could have of you in front of that board on this stream.
Step 2, put Relian on that camera.
Hey, boys and girls, you ready for fun today?
God, I have a couple of ideas, but we're gonna wait till after stream.
All right, so you guys, I think what you need for the last 10, 15, 20 minutes of the stream tonight is to start figuring out. I mean, obviously, you've got to open the business today, and that may
Yep.
be what you want to tie up the last of tonight with, because the doors are going to open. By the way, as it gets nearer and nearer the noontime that word has been passed that you're going to open, you start to notice a lineup of people outside the door waiting to come in for lunch. So apparently word has gotten around. But you need to decide how you're handling the people that will be visiting, because there will be some notables that will be arriving during that event. And you need to tie together all of your visits and all of your quests, which some of you will not get until I have a chance to get it to you in private message. But you will need to tie together these various leads, because if you can get them all laid out, you might start to see where the common threads lie, and there may be more than one at this point.
I'm just going on a branch here. I'm guessing me and Epi's direction to go to Weird Bottle Concoctions is the start of our quest.
Yes.
Okay. I would let Epi know that we should pay a visit to that shop in the near future.
And though he didn't actually yet totally receive it, because he wanted to make sure that it would not be put on hold, that people had time to do it, the Emerald Enclave has mentioned to Varus that they are concerned with some dead bodies not staying dead in the City of the Dead.
What? How do I know not, or how do I not know about that?
Maybe you're not as well liked as you
I didn't
thought.
Did you send me that in the private messages? I didn't see that.
No, I
Okay.
didn't. I'm telling you summaries of these that I can't yet, because of my screens and my computers being tied up. I cannot currently send you this message. So I'm telling you the headline of what it is. You'll get more information related to it, but you know it has something to do with supposedly something related to skeletons in the City of the Dead.
Okay, why do I have this horrible mental image of the second the shepherd finds this out, he just turns to Rel and Epi and says, "What did you do?"
I mean, that you're not wrong.
Hey guys, here's a thought. We just put a new contact that we can find out and have be eyes and ears in the City of the Dead. I say we abuse the crap out of him.
Which one you talking
Oh,
about,
wait.
Urstel or who?
Urstel.
Yeah, Crystal.
Wait, but also keep this in mind. This started after we put him there.
Oh,
Did
he
it start
wouldn't
after we
cost
put
double.
him there?
This started after we put him there, so
Then he would be all the better to know what went down.
I'm just saying.
Or
He
we start
doesn't-
putting a hole in
Forget
him.
a necker.
Yeah, he doesn't come off to me as like someone that can wield magic.
No, but he's still a criminal with contacts, maybe. I don't know.
Well, that's
Anyways.
just guesses.
It's still someone
Doesn't
we
help
can
now.
push for information.
Oh, it's totally not the case. I'm just saying it's funny. Like,
Oh,
it
yeah.
might have Shepard worrying, like, "Oh God, did I do this?"
No,
And-
I didn't do it.
And moving on.
Anyways, this can be discussed after stream.
Yes.
Was there anything else we needed to say on? For just the on-stream camera record's sake, I will be saying that behind Valkyrie, because of where she's standing, she has papers on the table. Part of it is information and stuff about the Trollskull Inn, as well as underneath it a map that she has been diligently circling certain locations, with the exception of the Growlhuns. There is a small black dot next to the house for anybody who goes over there and can observe what she's done. At least from the party. She will be
There's
doing.
a black
she will
dot
be
next
keeping
to the
that-
Growlhun's house. Did I get that?
Yeah,
right?
like it's kind of like when you look at a map and someone's been like obviously circling like this is a problem spot and this is a problem spot. There's just a simple little like, oh no, I've dropped a splatter of ink next to this location.
Very good. All right, very good. So, since there's only basically the group of you in the room, I will ask one last time, Cashin, if this is when you are going to share this map or if it's going to be at a later date, because I just need to know or to move on.
Well, that depends on what Shepard shares.
Shares about what?
Your information.
About what?
What you got from Mert. They are tied
Oh, what
together.
I got from Mert. Are we talking? We're talking about specifically the Growl Hunt, that bloodbath thing. The more information that I got from that, because I can talk about that.
Talking about
Never mind.
chaos in the city and where the stone disappeared to.
Right. I forgot about talking about that. I did want to talk about the stone.
Yeah, we're still on team find that nibble right. So.
In regards to what happened with the Growlhund estate, apparently there is less to be about what's going on than we originally thought. It's probably something more baser. This Stone of Galore, it's apparently tied with the Dragon Horde, or Horde of Dragons.
Yeah.
Or the Horde of Dragons.
Yeah, didn't you know?
No, I didn't know. I thought it was just a story.
I mean, I think we shared it with you.
Well, it's common knowledge. Cashin would know that it's common knowledge, but it's more like it's so blown out of proportion, and there's so much garbage circling around it that in the couple of decades it's been involved, people are starting to wonder if this ever really happened. And it is now, as you guys are starting to come back into some of this knowledge, you realize, maybe it's not just all rumor.
Well, I don't mean that. I mean, wasn't Shepard around when we busted some of this information out in the open? Wouldn't he have known about the rumors already about the missing dragons?
He wouldn't have known about that. He's a Waterdavian, so he would have known about the missing dragon.
Never mind.
No, I assumed it all to be just story because there was nothing that could be shown about it with evidence.
We'll talk about this later. Either way,
right.
With the mention of the missing Nimblewright, Cashin will chime in and say, "Well, speaking of that Nimblewright, I may have a lead on where it may have led to." And he shows the map portion that shows the location of the lamplighter Fenris's shop.
Let me share this with you so you all have it. That's why I needed to know if...
That's not... you said Fenris. That says...
No, it says Fenris. It's spelled a little differently, but that is Fenris.
Those look like E's. Either way...
F-E-N-E-R-U-S. Fenris.
Fenris. All right, that looked like an A. Any case, Cashin will point out that a strange cloaked individual who moved awkwardly was last seen going to the lamplighter's shop. And the lamplighter is a shady individual.
On the question, what exactly does a lamplighter do for the city?
Makes lamps. That too.
Street lamps. It's the occupation. There's actually a street lighters guild, but they go around at night all over the city and light all of the gas lamps. Or candles or whatever.
and when morning ends, they douse them, or when morning
Oh.
begins.
Interesting. That puts an interesting little take on some things.
This cloaked individual, did they say what size it was?
No, and they didn't get a good look at it either. It's just a lead, as far as I'm aware.
I did happen to run into an individual who was cloaked in a different way. I don't know if it may be tied. I found a man at the market where the carnival was placed, and it turned out that it wasn't a man, it was a drow.
Well, we knew he had Drow under his employ.
This one was noble in spirit and doing manual labor.
And Knocker is just gonna hold up her hands, guilty as charged. I did the same thing.
When I noticed that Lord Zord was, I haven't noticed that Lord Zord was on the premise. Sorry, I got stuff on my hands.
Yeah, Lord Zord was not there. The closest thing in the type of person you would be looking for would be this drow, because he was very lordly looking, but he was not Lord Zord.
Yeah, it is great that you do help your fellow man, Miss Nakri, but this is not something that is regular in Waterdeep.
I mean, fair enough, but still, having Drow under his employ, bringing in a place that's very favorable. Favorable, I suppose, to half elves. Anyone that's not them, it's still a bit sketchy, especially if there's any set of nobility. And it was a male or female?
It was male. He had illusion magic placed upon him.
Didn't we hear something about the surface drow? There's somebody with power and connections.
Jarlaxle.
Maybe that's who you run into.
Possibly I didn't recognize him.
I wouldn't be able to recognize him anyways, but you know.
I've never
Neither-
met Jarlaxle. I'm just saying that I didn't recognize him. I was under the assumption that it may have been Saloon, the one that was killing the half elves, but like I said, I didn't recognize him.
Still, be
Hmm.
careful. But
Okay,
I have
so
nothing this way.
going to discuss more of this, or do you want to move on to as the doors open kind of thing, and we'll end there?
Yeah, well, and
Well,
we can end
yeah.
up the doors opening, and then we can continue OOC discussions or whatever after.
I would actually pull Nakri aside for that little private meeting quick.
Mm.
There is an individual that's been following me since my visit with my friend, and I don't know if it. This is me and Nakri.
Private.
Sorry.
It's all good.
Right? If you happen to see him, he's wearing a very showy shirt, blouse, noble hat. He's very noticeable when he wants to be. Just keep an eye on him.
Any particular reason?
I don't know if this is a mandate issue to have someone follow me or not.
So wait, you have someone. You paid someone to tell you?
I didn't pay anyone to tell me.
But you're having someone tell you.
Indeed.
And you have another person telling you.
I have a person tailing me. I don't know if it's the one that I need or not.
Oh boy. Alright, well, keep an eye open.
And then one other thing.
Uh-huh.
I haven't seen them show up in the Trollskull. I don't expect them to, but if you happen to see Victoro and Amalia Casalanter, wish to be informed.
Let me try to squeeze out what I can first, but I will let you know when they have shown up, so that you may be, for at least a short while, a quiet eyewitness. Trust me, I know I remember you mentioning something about not trusting them and not wanting to be involved with them, but unfortunately, sometimes deals with the devils must be made in order to get ahead for a greater good in purpose.
I promise you this: there will be no deals with those devils.
I am not saying I will make a deal, but I will at least be willing to listen.
I need to show you something later.
I understand. We have much to talk about.
Indeed. And then I'll step away.
Very good. Well, as we end for the night, you go over and you open the shutters in the front just enough to kind of look out and see if you've got any patrons. And the line now stretches clear down and around out of the entrance to Trollskull, out of sight. It looks like every person you basically know is showing up to show support for the group of you, including several well-to-do people that you're not quite sure who they are. Some of you might have an idea who they are, but there's a lot of people lined up preparing. You see Valena from the Temple of Gond, you see Gelester Silvermane, you see Varys's parents, you see Fala and Yagra from the Yawning Portal, the orc woman from the Yawning Portal that got beat
Nice.
up. You also see Volo with Durnan, who is the supposedly
Proprietor.
the proprietor of the Yawning Portal. He's actually there. You see a couple of constables who look like they're maybe off duty. You see Floon, you see Renair Never Ember. You see a very elegant woman in a kind of a crown almost, with a long flowing dress, and she seems to be flanked by two bodyguards. You see Vincent Trench, uh, and you see Mert. There's just basically there is everybody there.
I don't see Mert.
And
You-
as we close, a massive fireball explodes.
Oh, great. Not
Don't
again.
even say that.
Oh.
Not again.
No,
No.
don't say that.
My fault this time.
Sorry, folks, I was just practicing magic.
I'm gonna make sure that
Fail.
the papers I have shuffled over the map is gonna be paperwork dealing with the clockwork design, and the map will be kept hidden when all the guests are there.
Very good.
Cashin will hide his map.
But yeah, I can't think of anything else. It's probably also just look alive and get ready to have a little bit of socialization, folks.
It is going to be a busy day, and those of you who haven't actually gotten the physical quests that you'll do as we end, I'll be able to type those to you, and the person of note that you need to speak with will slip a piece of paper or whatever into your hand to let you know what it is they need you to handle in the upcoming days. So all of you will be seeing something, including Nakri, I might add. So you will all have things to do.
I have a funny feeling that person in the crowd is going to be stupid important for me.
Oh, I'm pretty sure I know who it is.
It's going to be fun.
All right, with that, we will say good night, because we've had fun things, and once they finish their opening and head down to start following clues and things that are going on, it's going to be lots of fun for me anyway.
Oh dear. Remember, folks, when the DM has fun, the rest of us suffer.
Exactly.
All right, what is our word to end it for the night?
I thought that was it.
Bye,
thought
well,
that
no,
was
but let's consider this a two-parter. But bye, everybody. Remember, laughing at our mistakes can lighten our heart and lengthen our own life. Laughing at someone else's mistakes, however, can shorten our life and find our heart removed.
We smash cut. We smash cut to Relian laughing as Epiphany's eating some random poor worker who is torturing the insects.
Yeah, it's like, gee, it's missing a heart. Does that mean that he laughed at somebody else? Maybe he laughed at Epiphany. Good night, all.